Are we live? Is the question. No. Still says it's waiting for us. This is weird. Hello, hello. I believe we're live. Look at this. I'm going to turn it off because that's confusing. Because there's a delay. Hello, everybody. This is our 15-day contact juggling challenge. And I'm going to bring Dawn in right now. So now, kaboom! There she is. And I'm just going to move the placeholder beholder out of the way. Thank you, placeholder beholder.
Okay, guys, if you can see us, can you put a little thing in down below saying hello, saying yes, you see us. Let us know that you're here. Please say hi. I don't see the chat this time. Do you see it?
Clicking host chat. I'm not seeing any chat, but there's chat going on in the YouTube.
Brian O'Connell's here. That's wonderful. I see it in the YouTube, but then I have to flick back and forth, and that's not very handy. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're going to crack on because this is going to be a slightly more focused, yes, quick, in and out introduction of what we're going to be talking about and what these 15 days are going to be.
What are they going to be? They're going to be the bases, not quite the basics, because we're going to go into some advanced theory, but I want to say that it's totally possible to start now on head rolls and foot rolls and getting to know all parts of your body rather than just our hands. And so we're going to call it, this is back to base.
Yes, we're talking about like the foundations of contact. Dawn is apparently all about that base. So we're going to be doing 15 days. And in these 15 days, because, you know, a lot of us are kind of stuck at home, maybe not going out, we've got some time. We've got some time to work on things and drill on things. But it can be a bit disconcerting looking at everything and going, where do I start? What do I do? Maybe you're out of practice. Maybe you haven't been kind of as focused in recent times as you would like to have been. That's me, for sure. So we're going to talk about basics. And every day, I'm going to kind of focus my own practice on these topics that we're covering. And we're going to announce the topics as we go along. But yeah, the idea is that all of these things are accessible, but we're going to really push our understanding of the technique and the variations that we can do. And yeah, like more advanced concepts, the underlying concepts. We're going to introduce that in a little video like this. And then spend a day, spend however much of our practice time that we're feeling working on it. And then we'll try and upload some stuff to social media, to Instagram, to Facebook, whatever afterwards. And we invite anyone who's interested to get in and do the same. We're still tweaking our streaming setup here. So we'll hopefully get...
Unlike the 30-day challenge, it's not a requirement to post online to say that you're doing it. But if you do post online, it sure helps us get the word out, letting everybody know that it's happening.
Exactly. So, as we're going forward, we're going to be talking about balance today. Like we talked about in the kind of definition topic that we did, which is still on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can go and have a look at that. So about how important balance is. So we thought, hey, that's a great place to start on this. We kind of break it down into two sort of categories for today. Self-balance, and then some ideas of balancing just on the arms in particular. So that's going to be our sort of topic. And then there's just a few kind of questions that we'll be asking around that topic, which again, we're going to write all this down. It's all going to be accessible afterwards. You can find us on Facebook and find it all there. But kind of working through the questions.
Basic concepts, and then also introduce sort of how you can build strength in those concepts, how you can make them advanced concepts rather than it being just like it being a beginner thing all the time or an advanced thing. It's everyone can play this. This is supposed to be for everyone. And we're starting with the basics. And if you're there, that's where you stay. And then we'll grow it up into a sort of more advanced place.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, part of the whole reason for this for me is that, yes, I've covered this stuff in practice for years, but I don't often spend the time really going back and nailing it down and really asking myself the questions about it. So, so I think this is going to be super helpful, super important.
Should I start?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Talk to us about self-balance.
First of all, don't do it on a bed.
Dawn is doing the super advanced version for today.
A bit of an advanced version. It's quite squishy, but it's the space I have today. So on our YouTube channel a few years ago, you have this self-balance on the floor, which I highly recommend. Go check that out. That one's like a 20-minute balancing yourself on the floor, which is the easiest balance of all. It's so good. Once you get up off the floor, I want you to think about your body and how it feels in this moment today, in this body, just before practice. The most important thing about contact juggling is that we are balanced in ourselves, in our own body first, because if it's not balanced, you're going to really fight the ball all of the time, trying to correct for errors that are actually in the body. So I highly recommend a body scan, going through your feet, feeling your toes, feeling the palm of your feet, feeling the tops of your toes. You can start tapping them if you want, even going through tapping exercises to tap. Sort of remember that your body exists and remembering that it's all there. It'll help it sort of wake up and give you information. Once you have that information, you scan and you see if it's balanced. If your hips are tucked, if your bum is clenched, if your shoulders are in the back pockets, trying to make sure your posture is good before you do anything. And then once you've gone through a self-check of every part of your body, which I'm not going to go through because it's really slow, you pick up the ball and just feel the weight. And here right now, I'm feeling the weight sort of balanced in my palm and feeling the difference between the muscles that are lifting this one versus the muscles that don't have the weight on them. And then I switch and see what that feels like. And just feeling the difference of the weight in my own body will help me when I start doing the arm rolls. Tom?
Yeah, so a quick extra thing to throw on top of that. Talking about balance, talking about centering. We can add a nice little dancing technique of just making a circle with the body. A nice big circle coming up on the heels, going up on the toes, and just trying to keep everything in a line. And just making that circle smaller and smaller until you find yourself in the middle. Bam. And that's a really nice way to work out, am I balanced, am I centered, is everything in the right place? A lot of contact we're going to be coming from this foundation, fundamental position. And you can bring yourself out into interesting places and you can roll in different places. But if you can't bring yourself back to a nice, solid, fundamental, fixed position here, then you're going to be really sloppy. It's going to be hard to reset to move into other things. It's going to be hard to actually move around without contact like that. So yeah, that's just making nice big circles. And it's like any of like our like parts of the body we can just circle and make smaller and get that balance back. Lock back down, hips, lock back down, and yeah, get that nice little centered balance going on there. It's all circles. Contact's all about circles, so this really ties in. So we're balanced in our body. So let's talk a little bit about stalling, balancing the ball. And this is really nice. This is something that's so useful to do in your practice, is to be rigid and set a little parameter for your practice, saying today I'm doing this and I'm not going to get distracted. Let's do everything we can with balancing. So we've got a balance in the palm. Like this is a really nice one just to illustrate some ideas here. We could also take inside elbow because the majority of people will be able to find this and find it pretty quickly, pretty straightforward, or already have it super solid anyway. So again, thinking about that balance, as Dawn was saying, was there a point there, Dawn?
Balance. Can we do a little cheat?
If you're feeling like cheating, just for the super basics, I would go just for the hand like this for now.
Okay.
And just to be thinking, just because we're thinking about that stall theory, wherever you're stalling, you want it to be level with the ground. That way the ball isn't going to be moving anywhere. If you imagine it on a flat plane, which I don't have to have, They were advertising Roughneck by Jeff Wimminger. So if you keep that nice and flat, that point, it's not going anywhere. If you're off, guess what? It's rolling. Forwards, backwards. Be analytical of your rolls, if they're always, of your stalls, if they're always going in one direction, it means your shape is probably off. So yeah, just nice flat, parallel with the ground. Nice solid point here because we've got a lot of flat space to play with. When it starts coming to the more kind of dynamic balances like this, it's a slightly different topic, so we're not going to think too much about that for now. Yeah, so making sure everything's nice and flat. And we're going to ask ourselves these questions. Can we do the balance? Is it sitting there? Is it stable? Can we do it without moving around too much? And then the flip side of that, can we do it while moving around? A really nice exercise for this is just to try and move from the cage. So not using your hips necessarily, just trying to use your upper body like that. The idea with that, if you can keep that relatively isolated, is that then you'll be able to move lower body as well, because you've got that separation in place. There's an isolation, like the body isolation of the hips, the cage. Like isolation ties into loads of stuff in rolling and stalling as well. So yeah, can I do it? What's my offhand doing while I'm doing this? Are my gecko hands, because I'm tense, because it's about to fall at any moment? Can we control that? You shake it off, rest it neutrally by your side, see what shape it's making. Do straight angles. Think about where it is. Is it 90 degrees? Is it 180 degrees? Is it pointing in a completely different direction? Like, how do we want to present this? We want a nice flat level, just to be aware of that stuff. And yeah, so finding all these balances and testing yourself to find different balances, because you'd be surprised how, not easy necessarily, but how quickly you can develop a balance in outside of the normal places. So the normal kind of classic places, inside, outside, jackknife up here, which is tricky. This is one I'm learning at the moment because I never bothered learning it for unknown reasons. But we've got so many other points. We've got in-between points on the arm, on the front and on the back. Wrist stall is surprisingly quick to develop and gives us lots of flexibility of things we can do. So yeah, really paying attention to, is this working? And if it's not, why is it not? And where can I push it? If you take the time to learn these interstitial points along here, you can really control a roll up the arm because you've got those points of balance. If you watch Jordan Daniels stuff, kind of takes this to a super interesting extreme of being able to have all that control, all this super slow motion running down. So that's definitely worth looking up to see how you can have this really, really controlled stuff going on there. Anything to throw in on top of that, Dawn?
Not so much, but I did want to talk about that thing for the beginners. If you haven't learned balances and you're not up for like moving just your rib cage and all of that, which I do recommend trying, there's these fun things you can try as well, which is putting it in the balance and then switching it, and I call that a rainbow, and then the smiley face underneath, so that you can kind of practice both sides and also have sort of a different kind of thing that you can do with your balance while you're using your balances to sort of wake up those other parts for our future challenges.
Yeah, for sure. And that is a good point. When I'm practicing specifically balances, especially if I'm learning a new balance, I will often, we have these kind of steps towards learning them. So just placing the ball on and finding the balance is kind of that first step. And we can cheat that, it's fine. We can be having the other hand ready just to redirect if we need to, just to keep it in place. That's fine. That's because we're learning these micro corrections, what our body needs to do to hold that ball underneath. We don't want to be too tense, but we don't want to be too relaxed either. We want to have that in-between level just to hold it in place. And what I tend to do instead of rolling when I'm learning something is to throw and catch. So like I said, jackknife stall, this is what I'm kind of working on at the moment because I'm terrible at it, is throwing and catching and working out why, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you're learning all these micro corrections and then just being aware of what the body's doing. I know that if I hold my posture, if I pull up, then it's going to work much better. And one other really interesting point, which I find personally really helps my rolling and my stalling, and this is kind of like an internal like brain switch that you can try and get going on. I really like for both of these to try and feel the sensations, try and convince myself that there's a string on the ball, pulling it up at all times. If I'm really thinking about that, especially like top of the head as well, I find this really important, which I've got the headphones on, so it's going to be a bit weird. Is that going to work? Just cheating it. But yeah, feeling that string pulling up and your body corrects underneath. And I find that just a nice way to kind of tell all of my body how to mechanically do what I want it to do. And just come up underneath, you're going to find that level there. I actually do the same for rolling. We'll talk about that when we get into rolling as well. But that feeling of I'm just kind of underneath the ball as it's trying to escape. And it's exactly the same for stalls as well. I'm underneath the ball as it tries to escape upwards. Well, yeah, it just helps control it like that. Is there anything else you want to talk to about balances? Or do you want to look at the chat? Because I still don't have the chat live.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that chat thing works, but I did want to talk about how, yeah, like you were talking about kind of all those little places. I mean, we'll go into it more later, but there's also sort of knees, feet, ankles, upside down.
Yes.
Behind the neck. I mean, it's harder as a girl because you have a ponytail or whatever, but, you know, one of those.
Boys can have ponytails.
Well, boys can have ponytails, true. But y'all shave your heads, man. Just so much easier.
Girls can shave their heads.
But yeah, just making sure that you like actually where can you go, right? Like
yeah.
That Japanese in Mura guy who
yes,
all those wild balances on his legs. It's amazing, but the only way you start that is by learning how to do that balance by putting it there in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, another thing to stress so if you are a beginner, if you're newer to this, if you're not as comfortable, and we're going to keep coming back to this as well, is not to be scared of trying a weird balance. A move is as hard as you make it, and the easiest move to learn is a move that you want to learn. So if from day one you want to learn a 2-finger balance, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from trying day one. Getting a big body rolling ball is ideal for that. You can try rolling up into it and trying to hold that balance underneath and then coming back out. You can try throwing and catching into it. Treating these balances like, these are more dynamic, so you treat them more like you'd be balancing like a stick on your hand or something like that. You watch the top and you counter from the top to keep your balance underneath. And then after a while, you'll be able to find different positions. Those micro movements, again, will come easier. Thumbs are a tricky one. But like all of these things are totally manageable. You can start them from day one, absolutely no problem. And we're going to keep harking back on that. If you see a video coming up that's like head rolls, neck roll, don't be scared because like, oh, that's advanced technique. That's not for me. It can be for you. And there's actually no better time to start than when you're beginning, because maybe you'll find that's what you love. And you're like, I'm only going to head roll. That's all I'm going to do.
You learn nothing about head rolls when you're doing everything in your hands. It's not because, like, you could learn head rolls without ever learning anything in your hands, in fact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll, try and unlock some of that stuff for you. And we're super open to questions and things like that. We're around like now, so feel free to send us messages on our ballcontact.org, on Facebook, or individual profiles or anything like that. Next time I'm going to work out how to have the chat going here so we can actually respond to you like we did last time. I'm not sure what I did. I'm going to blame the holder from before.
That's about all for today. Today is the first day of the 15-day challenge. Put in the comments if you will join us. Let us know. This is going to rest on our ball contact page and on our Instagram. I'll be posting sort of a picture a day, and we're going to be doing this every day at 2:00 just to talk about what the challenge is and what we're working on together as a group. And hopefully you guys can join us on this lovely journey going back to bases.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to talk about something as well, and you want to talk about something with all contacts, then just let us know, and we'll add you into the chat, and you can come talk to us.
And if anybody wants to be streaming this or hosting it, please let us know. We want many hosts. It's not just about us. So
yeah, exactly. Yay. You're going to be sick of our voices in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly. So
cool,
anyway,
guys.
That's everything. Thank you very much for watching today.
I think we're supposed to say like, rate, and subscribe, but I'm not.
Oh, like, rate, hashtag back to bases. Hashtag. Wait, it's this way.
You're good at this stuff. Don't let us determine what you do. Make your own future. Subscribe.
Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are our 3 main platforms that we're kind of announcing things off of. And if you guys have any questions, please message us and let us know.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll speak to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Yay.